Hello and welcome back to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Kris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. And so while at our website, you can click on the radio page, check out our past shows, and subscribe to our podcast. You can find our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon podcast. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us with questions or set up a face-to-face virtual meeting. Reach out to us at that number, 719-210-4242. So there's something about summertime that starts to inspire us to think about traveling. Our imaginations start to wander. And you know what? Even if it starts to be fall or winter, we start thinking, you know what? It's summer somewhere. So sidewalk cafes in Paris, Australian beaches, Japanese gardens, whatever location you're dreaming about, it's likely what I've worked with a client who shared that dream. In fact, outside of ensuring they don't outlive their money in retirement, I'd say designing a financial strategy that allows them to travel on a regular basis is perhaps the biggest single issue my clients bring up to me. So we sit down and we go through and we start saying, okay, what type of travel do you want to do? So with those travel dreams in mind, we start thinking about how we're going to spend our money to get that done. So today's show is going to discuss how you can potentially craft a strategy that allows you to travel regularly without risking your ability to pay your bills and maintain financial stability. So before we get to today's topic, let me introduce you to my co-host, Tony, who I know has no interest in sitting on Australian beaches because what could be better than sitting here hosting this show with me?
Okay, let's go over that list. Number one, oh, wait. No, nothing could be better, Kris, than spending time with you, obviously. And where has your wife been for the last year? Oh, yeah, that's right. She's not
Germany.
home.
Yeah. So she did the sidewalk cafes in Paris is what she did.
Yeah, without you. See,
Uh-huh.
that's the problem there. Well, you were over there earlier this year with her, so you got to
Yeah.
travel a little bit together. So
So
quite
yeah,
a bit. You did quite a bit of traveling together this year, actually, didn't you?
we do really enjoy traveling, and I mean that's one of the reasons why we work and make money is so that we can travel and see the world. We have some challenges that we will discuss later in the show
Sure.
around that travel, but the that's I mean we like to experience new things. We like to see new things,
Yeah.
and you can't do that without going in places. You know.
Yeah, you gotta go places. So, in fact, where's Tara right now? She's still in Europe somewhere, isn't she?
She's in Germany right now. She's got some more travel plans set up for later this fall, and yeah, she's enjoying it.
Meanwhile, holding down the fort is Kris. I love it. Well, and modern technology is so good, Kris. I was thinking, I think I could do the show with you and be on a beach in Australia.
You,
Both.
you know, you know what? That's my goal in life is so I could just do this radio show from wherever.
Yes.
We actually have a portable mic that we can take with us.
Yeah,
So
that's fun.
we're working on it.
Yes, that would be great. That would be awesome. So I do like the topic today. It is fun to kind of dream and think about seeing the world during retirement. And I think this is a great topic.
Yeah.
And as you said, traveling is very high on the priority list for most retirees, right?
Yes, it is because when people start thinking about what kind of travel that they want to do, how often they want to do it, and then we start helping opening that discussion on how they're going to do it. And so
Yeah.
that really is the first step. You got to start thinking about what you want to do. And
Hmm.
and so we say, okay, what's on your bucket list? So a lot of people already have a bucket list. Some people don't.
Hmm.
They're like, well, I really like to hike, and I really like to do this, but I don't really like to travel. I'm like, okay, well, let's think about that. What kind of hikes do you like to do? Oh, I like to go up in the mountains. Okay, well, so we're here in Colorado, so there's plenty of mountains. But what about going to unique places to do a hike? Going to Machu Picchu, going
Wow.
to uh, what is that place? Oh, Patagonia. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a place I've seen pictures of, and the people that go there love it. I don't know why, because you see pictures of it and it's so barren. I think it's just such a weird landscape. It just is awe-inspiring. And so everybody
Yeah.
that I've ever talked to,
It's like the Badlands in South Dakota. It's like people love them
yeah,
once they see them, and you think number one, South Dakota, number two, Badlands.
right,
And
right.
it's a lot
It's
of
all in the
nothing, but
name.
it's just unique. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But so think about the things that you like to do, and then
Mhm.
think about, well, maybe there's some other places that I'd like to do them in that would make it more exotic for me and make it more interesting to do that. Um,
Right.
now, so now there's other kinds of travel that like Disney, going to Disney World, right?
Sure.
You want to take the
Yep.
grandkids to Disney World so you can
Yep.
see their face light up, and so that is on the bucket list of so many grandparents,
Sure.
uh, to be able to take them down to Florida to Disney World and just see their faces light up when they get to Disney World for the
I
first
know.
time.
A lot
And
of people like to do that. A lot of grandparents like to take their grandkids to Disney World or
yeah,
Disneyland. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how long you want to be on vacation, but that's another thing you need to think about is, do we do like week-long trips, or do we want to go to an exotic place and live there for 3 months? So we were in Hong Kong once, and we met some folks. They lived in Florida, so they lived in a nice place. Well, they were in Hong Kong for 3 months. They rented out an Airbnb for 3 months, and
Wow.
they just lived there and soaked up the culture and learned the town. Hong Kong's got so many things to explore.
Oh,
There's no way
sure.
to do it in the week that we were there. So, I can understand somebody wanting to really, to soak in that travel. So there's great things out there if you are interested in travel. You don't have to get outside your comfort zone. There's places to go if you don't want to be in a place like Hong Kong where they don't speak your language 100%, right? There are a lot of English speakers there because it is still Hong Kong. But anyway, it's a
Sure.
great thing to get out and see the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right though. I mean, if you're going to it's one thing to take one trip to Disney World with the grandkids. It's another thing to, hey, I'm going to travel across Europe for 3 months.
Yeah,
There are different costs involved. Or I'm going to, go up to, an island, the Mackinac Island in Michigan, or up to the North Shore in Minnesota, see the Great Lakes. These are 3-day trips, 4-day trips that you could take. But it's a whole other world if you want to be gone for 3 months. Financially, you have to plan for that. And that needs to be part of your retirement income plan, I would guess.
that's right. So you've got to have a spending plan that takes those things into account. So money is plays a huge role, but so there are other things to think about. Some other really big factors. And so, what are your commitments at home? So we have horses, right? So we've got a
Right?
plan on how they're going to get taken care of, along with our cat. So everything is unique to you, and you've got to figure those things out. Do you have some elderly parents that rely on you for transportation
Mm,
and somebody to talk to, right? Do you live near your parents that are elderly? Do you watch the grandkids, right, for a couple days a week? So, I mean, now your kids are having to pay for babysitting they're not used to paying because you're gone for a while.
yeah.
Are you
True.
gonna
Good point.
are are you gonna miss those little league games and choir concerts? So there's a lot of planning that goes in, and it goes into figuring out how you're going to travel and what impacts uh, are going to be to the people around you, maybe to your own home, those kind of things. Maybe you're a volunteer or a local nonprofit, and so what are they going
Mm.
to do without you? So don't misunderstand. So if you want to do frequent travel, it's good. I like it. I want to help you plan for it. It's a significant retirement goal, and you should seize the day and make it happen, and do it while you're still mobile. You want to do it while you can still get around. I had a client speak to me that they were on a cruise once, and they saw somebody in a wheelchair on the cruise, and they said, "Hey, once don't ever put me on a cruise if I'm on a wheelchair." I'm like, I don't know why not. The food is all there. They do have that, but anyway,
Yeah,
I think that you can still travel, but it's nicer to travel while you're still mobile. You can get
yeah,
out and see more things.
sure.
So you want to do it when you first retire. That's one of the other things people really, once they retire, they want to start traveling.
Right, but you gotta look at the big picture and, I like you brought up the fact that, hey, it could impact your family if you're gone for a long time, once you retired. Maybe your kids are expecting you to continue to help watching the grandkids during the day while they work or things like that. So,
Right.
you do have to look at other commitments and possibilities and what you're giving up and weigh that, but, some people can set aside 3 months and travel and use some of their retirement savings to do that, but I wouldn't do it without meeting with somebody first like yourself, a financial services professional who can look at your overall retirement income plan or get you set with a plan if you don't have one, to make sure that you're going to have enough money to last as long as you do, and then set aside that money for those trips. And traveling is a big part of retirement. That's why we're talking about it today. Some people
That's
even,
right, Tony.
and we'll get into it, but we've talked about RVs, buying an RV and just living in an RV for the first year or two of your retirement, traveling across the country. Sounds like a nightmare to me personally, but some people love it. And I know you and Tara like to camp and maybe go on these camping trips.
we
I
we
personally
we like to camp with our horses, so it's a different
Right.
challenge.
Well,
But it's
yeah,
fun.
but I'm into glamping maybe, but I'm not into burning some vacation days to sleep on the ground, Chris. Let's
Oh
put it that
no,
way.
yeah, we don't do that either.
Yeah, it's like Jeff, or what's his name? Jim Gaffigan says, "Honey, I'm not gonna burn a couple of vacation days to sleep on the ground." That sounds
Oh,
like a great idea. Yeah.
exactly. Vacation days are so expensive. Why you want to spend it on the
Yeah,
ground?
exactly. Well, and I think this is a good time to remind our listeners that, hey, you do have to be working closely with somebody like yourself, and you have to have a financial strategy and a travel strategy. So, what else should we factor into all this?
So another factor is your health. I kind of
Oh, yeah,
alluded to
that's
that a
true.
little bit.
Yeah,
Is if you're going to be traveling, or whoever you're traveling with, you want to consider their health. If you're not in tip top
right.
shape, maybe you want to make sure that your travel plans are in line with that health, right? So you should be in position to handle the rigors and stresses that comes with lots of time on the road, or time on an aircraft, or being in a foreign place, right? So if you have serious or chronic health issues, maybe you need to consult a doctor. And don't forget that Medicare doesn't cover health costs outside the United States. Okay. I'm going to say that again. Medicare doesn't cover healthcare outside the United States. So you want to purchase travel insurance to cover potential medical emergencies while you're abroad. If that is a situation for you where you know that, okay, something might happen and I might need some help. Travel insurance, I've paid for it. It's not expensive,
Yeah,
but
it's not too bad actually, and it's worth it, isn't it?
it's definitely worth it. Tara had bought it when she went on a trip, and that she actually had to use it. And that one time that she had to use it paid for all the other times she had to pay for it. So she didn't have to pay out of pocket for that medical care.
Yeah, that's huge. Obviously, and if you're traveling internationally, healthcare is really something you have to look at, and you might need to get a special policy or something to make sure you're covered, right?
Yeah, so Tara happened to be traveling to China at that time, and she needed,
Yeah.
she heard something, I can't remember exactly what it
Yeah,
was, but she had to go in.
yeah. Yeah, and so, sometimes travel insurance helps with that. Sometimes you get special, medical or health insurance to help cover that because, if you do a lot of travel, you want travel insurance, but if you travel internationally, there are other things you need to concern yourself with as well, especially when it comes to healthcare, because Medicare
Right.
doesn't work, in
No.
Tokyo or
Right.
Berlin or wherever you're at there.
One place that works is Thailand for some reason.
Thailand accepts Medicare. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I had a client that told me about that. I was like, "Really?" It's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
I
okay."
know Puerto Rico does, but that's yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, obviously, it's important, but let's let our listeners know really quick here, Kris, how they can get a hold of you.
They can get hold of me at 719-210-4242. And I will remind them that if they call in on the radio show, we offer a complimentary consultation. If they call in during the radio show or directly after, 719-210-4242. Just mention that they're calling from the radio show and you can get that complimentary consultation.
Yeah. And that's really important to work with a financial services professional, even when you're talking about travel expenses in retirement. And that's what we're talking about today. You said if you want to travel a lot or but maybe better suited for a couple of week-long vacations a year, whatever your family or personal obligations are, and your current health status is what we've been talking about. That might factor into that.
That's right. So that's something that we just need to consider and
Yeah.
account for, and we can. That's the thing is we can account for it,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's the
good.
thing with planning is you can account for things if
Yeah.
you have a plan,
Yeah,
and
you gotta do it ahead of time. That's the thing.
you gotta
That's
want
the
to do it
trick that
before
a
you get
lot of us,
started.
put it off, right? Yeah. So what do you have for us next?
Well, you've got to have a thorough understanding of your financial situation. Currently, what does it look like? You're going to make these travel plans, um, a week long international trip to say for Europe would be about $5,000 for two people. So just know
Or
that's what,
more, or
or
more.
more.
It
That's
can be up to 6,000 of 8,000 a piece if you depending on how long you're there and
it,
what you spend.
if you're spending a week in Paris, it's going to be a lot more. I can tell you.
It's gonna be at least 5 grand a person. Yeah.
Staying in a hotel near the Champs Elysees is going to run you some serious cash.
Oof.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
even wanna think about it. Yeah.
But we just need to do the math, right? And
Right.
so that math will tell you that if you're looking at a month overseas, you better be certain your nest egg and financial strategies have you covered. So
Yeah.
don't forget that your price tag is determined by your expectations.
That's true.
So
Good
so
point.
those places like Paris, Rome, Berlin, you want to stay in upscale hotels, it's going to cost, right? There's a significant cost. Um, but if you're comfortable with more modest amenities, you can go where you want to go with significantly less sticker shock. So hotel prices can range anywhere from 150 to, $1,000 a night in these places, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Um, some of the hostels that cater to older travelers and less expensive hotels, Airbnb, campgrounds are all solid options. So make sure that you can sleep in those conditions.
Yeah.
Uh, like an Airbnb, you're maybe sleeping in somebody's house. Maybe you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Uh, Campgrounds, we talk about sleeping on the ground. Well,
And hostels can be rough, especially the ones for youth hostels across Europe, but there are
yeah,
now some senior hostels, like you said, and so, for
right.
seniors, but you have to find them, and it's like, they still can be a little sketchy, so you gotta watch it.
Yeah, because they're kind of like a B and B a little bit, but they're not quite as well put together.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So yeah, so it can be incredibly popular for travels to go there. So you got to make sure that you get those reservations down fairly early because um, uh,
Yeah.
if you're going to go to Venice or someplace like that, they get during the high travel season the good spots and the and the good spots that have reasonable prices go pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah, they fill up. You have to plan your trip well in advance. And in retirement, that's something you have the advantage and ability to do because you don't have to necessarily schedule it around jobs or things like that, but
Right.
do it way in advance to make sure you get the best deals. And that's a great tip right there. Now, when you say you're talking about people need to understand their financial situation before they begin traveling frequently. And you're probably not just talking about how much money they have in the bank or in their emergency fund, but you're probably also going to look at their investments, Social Security, 401k, IRA, anything that's going to be providing them income in retirement has to be looked at before they plan extensive travel, right?
That's right, because you want to have all those things aligned so that you can travel with security, knowing that you can spend the money you need to spend.
Right.
Uh, so you meet with your financial service professional to say, I'm traveling to Australia. I'm going to go to the Sydney Opera House in person. Okay, that's a heck of a trip. Sounds like a great
Yeah.
time. Let's
Yeah.
figure that out. Let's look at your savings. Let's look at all your income streams that supply you with the things you need while you're traveling and take care of the things here at home as well. So we get all those things squared away. Um, so if you're considering that significant trip, maybe a year in the south of France, right? Beautiful place to be. You can get out to the Mediterranean. You can go to the vineyards. It's just a great place to hang out, right? So you may want to consider actually selling your home, right?
Mm.
Offloading some of your possessions. It's a better financial adventure, one, and two, uh, how many things, if you leave them for a year in your house, are going to be broken when you get back because they're not being used.
Right.
Um, so consider this level of downsizing if you're considering a major life change where you're going to be going on extensive long cruises
Sure.
or spending that year in the south of France. Um, those are all things we can plan for and we can make happen. But
Sure.
you should only move forward after a lot of contemplation and open and frank conversations between you and your partner and you and your
Yeah.
financial services professional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, for a lot of people, selling your home is a bridge too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe rent it, right? And that
Oh,
provides
while
you,
you're gone, you could rent it out. Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
could rent
Like
it
an
out.
Airbnb. Yeah.
And then now you've got somebody in your house who's using all the house, so it's not breaking, and you can hire a property manager that would help look after it, and now you can go and not worry about your house, having a busted pipe and getting destroyed while you're gone, or
Yeah.
something like that. And so those are the things I'm afraid of when I travel is the house doing something I'm not here to handle that maintenance issue or that emergency.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you talked about there's an article about this with some tips, and you mentioned traveling on a budget earlier. Do you have any other tips for us, or did the article have any tips for retirees who want to travel without blowing up their budget?
Well, yeah. So first you need to look at what kind of things you want to do,
Sure.
and then figure out, okay, I'm going to reposition myself for a cruise, right, or
Right.
something I'm going to do. So you've got to start to figure out how that's going to work for you,
Yeah.
how you are going to have all those funds that you need.
Yeah.
And then how are you going to get access to them? So while you're traveling, you may not be able to get to a solid internet connection where you can log into your bank, or maybe your bank doesn't allow connections from that place, right? For
Right.
security reasons. If you're in certain countries, you can't log on to your bank.
Yeah.
So how are you going to access those things? So maybe you have somebody you can call. Maybe you set up a situation with your financial advisor where they have the ability to help you out. Um, how are you going to get access to those
Yeah,
funds
to
while
your
you're
funds.
away?
That's huge. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really,
that's
really huge.
huge. Yeah. Yeah, and I know another tip you've talked about on past shows or Tara has, and that's the further ahead you plan, the better deal you can get. And you alluded to that earlier with hotels.
That's right.
Some of the best places to stay that have decent prices, they're going to fill up first. And like you mentioned, cruises, that's a budget way to travel because you can always find deals on cruises, but you have to be able to either A, plan way ahead, or B, be able to leave spur of the moment. I know if you can take last minute cruises, like, oh, here's a 5-day cruise, and it starts, we have to be in Florida in 2 days to get on it, and
Right.
we just heard about it. If you have that kind of flexibility, sometimes the last minute stuff can save you money too. It just
That's right.
depends.
That's
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
another thing I've heard some people do is they teach English. So when we were
Oh
in
yeah. Yeah.
Tara and I were in Japan, and the spouses were traveling with their military member. They would teach English, and they could make $2,000 or $3,000 a month teaching
Wow.
English. And it was basically they'd invite the Japanese citizen into their house, and they'd watch a movie together, and then the person, they'd pause it and say, okay, here's how they would talk about how they say those things. And so it was just somebody they could have a conversation with,
Sure.
so that they could
Wow.
learn how to speak English, right? So
Right.
you don't have to you'd be an English major to do this.
Yeah.
It's the
Right.
speaking they're looking for. Uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
Another weird thing that might be there for you is called house swapping. So,
Hmm.
so
Interesting.
yeah, so you find somebody who would like to travel to where you are, and you want to travel where they are, and then you
Sure.
swap houses. And
Wow.
there's actually an exchange that can help you do that. It's
Really?
called the International Vacation Home Exchange, for people that are looking for a place to be,
That's
to
really
go
neat.
and just swap homes. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
might ha-
That's interesting.
I might have to find somebody that likes horses so they can I can
Yeah,
exchange
take
them.
care of your
So they
animals
so they
for
can
you while you're in some other country. That
That's
sounds
right.
great. Well, hey, we're out of time. It just flew by. So let our listeners know one more time how they can get a hold of you to set up that no charge consultation.
Please give us a call at 719-210-4242. Yeah, we can set up that complimentary consultation. If you want to just read more about us and learn more about us, go out to our website. It's nolanfinancialpartners.com. We've got a link for the radio show, so you can go out there and listen to some of the old podcasts or this one, right? Go out and check us out. Hey, that number is 719-210-4242.
All right. Well, great show today, Kris. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio.
Join us again next week for another edition of Nolan Financial Radio.